Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be talking about a subset of the true crime community, serial killers and the women, and sometimes men, who love them. I've seen a few other people do videos on this, and they come across as really judgmental, like how could you do this to the victims and all this stuff. But I'm an open-minded person, and we live in a world where people support fucking Donald Trump, so who cares? Like, I have more respect for these people than I do for people who support him. I'm not kidding. Honestly, I find them interesting. Maybe even more interesting than the serial killers themselves. So let's get into it. So these serial killer fans, groupies, whatever you want to call them, have been around for a very long time. In the 70s, Ted Bundy raped and killed over 32 women. But fans started showing up to his trial dressed, and they had their hair in the same way that most of his victims had theirs.
Each day, the courtroom is filled with spectators drawn by a fascination with Theodore Bundy himself or by the gruesome details of the crimes. Blood-stained pillows, pictures of the murdered co-eds, evidence that the women were sexually abused. What is unusual to see is that many of the onlookers are women, young women, contemporaries of the 5 Florida State sorority sisters who were assaulted in their beds a year and a half ago.
Every time he turns around, I kind of get that feeling, oh no, you know, he's gonna get me next, you know.
But yet you're fascinated by him.
Very, very. Every night when I go to bed, I just, you know, I get very scared. I shut my door and lock him, you know.
I'm not afraid of him. He just doesn't look like the type to kill somebody. You try to imagine yourself in his place and to see how he's feeling, looking at the pillows with blood stains and everything, if he really did it or not.
The trial has drawn women from as far away as Seattle, where Bundy is suspected of other sex murders. Why is this happening? According to one psychiatrist, it is a mixture of fear, intrigue, and in particular, sexual attraction.
And so, yes, I do think this is, in an underlying sense, a sexual attraction, using that word very broadly for the moment. But there is no question but what violence does quicken the pulse of many people, and certainly of young women.
The young women themselves aren't too sure what it is that attracts them to the trial. Are you a little scared when you look at him?
Yes, it scares me to be in the same room with them, but I know there's other people in there, so.
Why do you do it?
I don't know.
Robin Lloyd.
He even proposed to one of his fans in court.
In 1980, 32-year-old Carol Ann Boone took the stand as a character witness during the trial of serial killer Ted Bundy. Bundy mocked the court and the entire judicial system by acting as his own attorney. He asked one very direct question of his #1 fan.
Carol, do you want to marry me? Yes. And I want to marry you? Yes. And I do want to marry you.
In the 80s, there was the Night Stalker Richard Ramirez. He killed a bunch of people brutally, including some of them in front of their children. He claimed to be Satan reincarnated, and he was all kinds of crazy. But he definitely had his fair share of fans.
Are the women in black, admirers of Richard Ramirez. Why were you in the courtroom today?
I just wanted to see what he looked like. I think he's cute.
This woman, who gave her name only as Paige, calls herself a Satanist. She says Ramirez has written letters to her and that she's talked with him in jail.
Everyone makes him look so bad, you know, but I know that he's a nice person because I've met him, and I know.
He's convicted of 13 murders.
I know. But he's really a nice guy. It's very out of the usual. It's very out of the norm to be able to do that for a certain amount of time and length, a period of time, and get away with it. Especially the outrageousness of it. The kind of murders that he did. When I went to go visit him, I asked him, you know, I said, how many other girls visit you? I want to know. And he kind of laughed and said, there's 2, but I already know them, and I've known them for a while, and they're just like acquaintances, and, you know, kind of, you know, make me think that and believe like I was like the only one that he liked that was visiting him.
Their attraction may be difficult to explain, but from Los Angeles to San Francisco, they stalk Ramirez whenever he appears in a courtroom.
How do you respond to people who are going to think you're crazy for this?
I'll just say that they just don't understand.
So both of these guys ended up marrying their fans. Ted Bundy actually managed to knock one of them up while on death row and impregnated her. Ted Bundy fans still exist today. You can find them in Facebook groups and stuff. They call themselves Ted Heads. We all know about Charles Manson. He was this crazy hippie cult leader who made his followers kill a bunch of people, including pregnant actress Sharon Tate. Well, meet his fiancée, Star.
I think you're crazy.
Mm-hmm. I really don't care.
When we first met Star several years ago, she told us that she was drawn to Manson because of his environmental philosophy that he calls ATWA.
ATWA stands for air, trees, water, and animals.
Did you know that 900 redwood trees get cut down every day? 900 redwood trees at 1,000 years apiece. That's 900,000 years of sunlight you're taking off of this planet.
But after 7 years of living near Manson's prison, Star's main focus now is to clear her future husband's name and get him out of prison. She says he is innocent.
They all know that he did not break the law. They all know that they're keeping him hostage in there.
By marrying Manson, some people believe Star will gain more access to Manson. Not true, according to the California Department of Corrections. What she will get is worldwide attention as being Charles Manson's wife.
Anyway, fast forward to modern day, where these trials are broadcast all over TV, and we also have this lovely thing called social media. I touched on some of this in my Jodi Arias video.
Her bills are being footed by the taxpayers, but she can still buy toiletries, snacks, and other sundries using a commissary account where outsiders make deposits. According to jail records, at least $2,200 were donated to Arias just this year. Since the trial began, half the money Jodi Arias has received from supporters across the country was deposited at this kiosk in the lobby of the jail. One man from New York State deposited $800. Other donations were made online or by calling a toll-free number and using a credit card.
Fight or flight, she never thought she'd be the one that ended his life. I wanna talk to you about a girl that I know. Her name is Jodi Arias. I wanna talk to you about a girl that I know. Her name is Jodi Arias.
So yeah, men do this too. Alright, and you know I cannot talk about this subject without talking about Tumblr, because that's where a ton of these people lurk. Now, these people tend to prefer mass murderers over serial killers, so there's a bit of a difference. Their favorites are Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, the Columbine shooters.
I heard this pop, 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 four in succession. And what is that? And looking out through the window, I saw Dylan standing there holding a gun.
Dylan Klebold briefly entered the side entrance of the cafeteria, perhaps to check the status of the bombs in this duffel bag. Then Klebold joined Harris outside, near the entrance leading to the second floor where the library is. They sprayed the doors with gunfire. Students and teachers alike became terrified. The security cameras in the cafeteria were rolling.
And to me at that point in time, it's like, my gosh, what is happening at Columbine High School?
Another teacher, Patty Nielsen, was injured by glass and metal from the spray. She ran to the library and called 911.
I'm a teacher at Columbine High School. There is a student here with a gun, and the school is in a panic, and I'm in the library. I've got students down under the table, kids! Heads under the table! I do not know who the student is. Okay. I saw a student outside. I was in holding out here, God! He turned the gun straight at us and shot, and my God, the window went out. Oh, God! Stay in the line of fire. Oh, God!
Students like Craig Scott hid under library tables.
it was becoming more real, and I was becoming more terrified.
Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold could be heard shooting in the halls and throwing bombs down stairwells.
The entire library began to fill with smoke. I turned my head over to the right and I saw these two huge figures enter the library, kind of emerging from this smoke. And the very first thing that they said was, "Everybody get ready to die."
They were making a lot of like smart aleck remarks towards students before they shot or killed them.
He's shooting in the library right now. He's firing shots from the library.
And they were kind of whooping it up and just having a good time.
They used a very creepy, very calm tone of voice. Didn't detect any sense of nervousness or fear or anything like that. They went into the library very confidently.
They headed back to the cafeteria. Eric even stopped to take a drink before moving on. They tried shooting their propane tanks to set them off, but failed. The smaller bombs Dylan threw did work. In 49 minutes, Klebold and Harris effectively had killed 1 teacher and 12 students and wounded more than 20. At 12:08, the boys killed themselves in the library, ending the massacre.
These people call themselves Columbiners, and there are a lot of them. It's sad because a lot of people relate to these two because of the media myth that they were bullied and they were outcast, and that's actually all bullshit. If you're gonna fall in love with them, you should do your research, because they were not outcasts and they were not bullied. They were actually kind of bullies themselves. So, I mean, do your research before you fall in love with a mass murderer. So, the most dangerous Columbiners are those who look up to them as like role models and admire their shooting. An owner of one Columbiner site said that she receives questions from young girls wondering if a woman shooter would get as much attention as Columbine and things like that. It's super creepy. It's no secret that Eric and Dylan have inspired many of today's mass shooters, including the guy who shot up Virginia Tech, as well as YouTuber turned mass murderer Andrew Blaze, who actually talked about the Columbine shootings in detail in one of his manifestos.
It was right before 1 a.m. when state police got the 911 call about a deadly shooting at the Weiss supermarket outside Tunkhannock. As morning stretched into afternoon, troopers remained on scene, trying to figure out why 24-year-old Randy Stair of Dallas Luzerne County used 2 shotguns to kill 3 of his co-workers.
This is another senseless act that didn't have to happen. It's a tragedy.
State police say Stair reported to work just before 11 o'clock Wednesday night for a regular shift. Investigators think he spent the next 90 minutes blocking the store's 5 exits before moving his car in front of an emergency door and taking 2 shotguns back into the building and opening fire. He had 100 rounds of ammunition.
He just had a ammo bag, which is a duffel type that he carried his ammunition in, but the actual shotguns were, one was carried in his hand and one was on his shoulder with a sling.
At this point, state police are looking into why all of this happened. Randy Stair has a very large social media and digital footprint, some of it appearing to show him preparing for the attack. In a journal entry dated Monday, Stair said he was ready to die, claiming to be a girl trapped in a man's body. He wrote, "The girl in me is clawing to get out. 62 more hours."
We're looking at everything from social media to witness interviews to neighborhood interviews. We're looking at every angle we have.
As for the Weiss supermarket, many say it is like a family. Company officials are beyond saddened.
We're deeply saddened by the loss of life, the tragic loss of life. Actually, our thoughts and our prayers are with the victims and the family.
It's crazy. Like, Columbine just sucked me in once I started following it, and I've honestly never been the same since. I think in one of my classes I heard them mention Columbine and all this when we were talking about like big world-changing events or something. I don't know, but I never really looked into it until I was out of college. Pretty much last year is when it started, and it changed so much for me. I honestly cannot believe how much Columbine has influenced me and changed me. It's really insane, and I don't know what it is about it. There's been so many mass shootings over the years or catastrophic events and all this, and for some reason Columbine just feels different compared to everything else. And I don't know, I guess I can just relate to it a lot in a way, but Columbine is just one of those things that just sucked me in, and I can't even explain it. It grabbed me like very few other things have in my life. And the more I like researched and studied it, the more I got sucked into it. And I watched all these documentaries on it, and it made me have so many questions. I just love the shit out of Columbine, and I can't go around the internet saying, hey, I love Columbine, Eric Harris is fucking amazing, oh, I love Dylan too, I love them, I wish I could have met them, they're my heroes, and blah blah. You can't do that, or you're gonna get like fucking reported as a threat. You see all these people that get caught and all their plans are foiled from people reporting them, for conspiring a Columbine-like shooting or something. And you just got to be careful with what you say. Yeah, so bought some shooting gloves and they'll be here any day now. Bought a fanny pack bag holder for shells and a holster for the...
But most of these Columbiners are young girls who are somehow in love with them. I'm gonna show you some of their Tumblr posts right now. There's some I can't even show you, like fan art they've drawn of Eric and Dylan nude stroking each other's penises. So James Holmes, if you remember that name, that's the guy who shot up a movie theater in Colorado while dressed up as the Joker. He is a huge fan favorite. He has a big following of girls who call themselves homies. These women sent him love letters laced with perfume in jail. And in case you ever wondered what his jail cell walls were covered with, they're covered with sexy pictures that young girls have sent him, this mass shooter. Fuck, I can't anymore with this shit. So, I'm just going to give you some psychology about why these people might be like this. I'm just going to read because I just can't at this point. So, a lot of women that I covered today have this mental disorder called hybrobistophilia. Hybrobistophilia is a paraphilia in which sexual arousal, facilitation, and attainment of orgasm are responsive to and contingent upon being with a partner known to have committed crimes and outrage, cheating, lying, known infidelities, or crimes such as rape, murder, or armed robbery. So ladies, you ladies, if you keep this up, your future is probably going to be an abusive relationship, so you might want to rethink this. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. And I'd love to hear from all of you in the comments, especially the groupies themselves. You serial killer fans, I want to hear from you in the comments. I want to know what you're all about. And I will see you next time. Bye.